Wow, welcome to another week of the Feel Good Show. Thank you for joining me today, and may our higher power, our creator, look after us today, take care of us, make sure that the show goes really, really well, and we'll give thanks in advance. Okay, so today's show. Um, how many of you out there have arthritis or know someone who has arthritis and is suffering in pain constantly and possibly on a lot of medication? Yes. And um, how many of you who do have arthritis would like to completely rid your body of it and live a disease free life? I know if I were in that category, I certainly would. Okay, well, I'm here to tell you this week that you not only can you reverse arthritis, but you can prevent it. Yes. So this week's show, I guess you've already guessed. This week, I'm going to be talking to you about juvenile arthritis and arthritis in general. Juvenile arthritis is something that not many people are aware of. And this month is juvenile arthritis month. So it's appropriate that we should uh, have a show on the subject. Okay, so I'm going to be offering you some tips that will, in the long run, help you to prevent, avoid. It will play a great part in helping you to do that, to avoid developing arthritis and you know, serve you in the process of reversing diabetes. Um, just so you know, the format of the show is that I introduce the show, and then I give you a recipe, and hopefully some of you will be working alongside me with the recipe this week. And after the recipe, I'm going to be talking to you about our subject of the week, which is focusing on juvenile diabetes. And then we're going to have a short meditation, visualization, and then we end the show for today. So let's get on with it because we have an hour and I don't want to go over that. So let's start with me telling you a little bit more about what we do. Every week, I offer you the opportunity to join me in in um, in preparing the recipe. And if you want to do that, you can go to my link in bio, click on the link which says request ingredients, and I will send you the ingredients so that you can gather them up and join me while I'm preparing the show next week. Okay, so please go ahead and do that. And while I'm on the subject, like, share, subscribe for me. Okay. Um, as I said, these recipes that I am giving you week by week are recipes that I have been using with my clients. I've been giving my clients for over 2 decades now, helping them to prevent and to reverse degenerative diseases such as diabetes, arthritis, um, prostate issues, heart problems, and so on. There are so many of them: high blood pressure, gynecology issues, neurological issues like Alzheimer's, and so forth. Um, what I'm sharing with you, the recipes and the information I'm sharing with you, is what I've shared with my clients, hundreds of clients that over the past 2 decades that I've helped to rid their bodies of degenerative diseases. And these are critical recipes because diet is critical in as an element of what I do. And just in case you don't know who I am Dr. KALIFA Senna. I am a holistic health transformational doctor. I have a vast experience over the past 2 decades, and I have studied many disciplines so that I can bring all of those disciplines together to give you the best possible help that I can to prevent degenerative diseases and to reverse degenerative diseases if you already have one or them. Okay, so let us get on with the show. Don't forget, like I said, to like, subscribe, and share. Um, okay, I think I've covered everything there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to get the recipe done before we have our talk. Okay. All right. So this week's recipe is Dr. KALIFA's plantain bread. Yes, Dr. KALIFA's raw plantain bread. Um, and I thought this recipe, I'm going to think about giving you a recipe for pizza next week. And I thought this recipe would be very appropriate for this week because the bread I'm going to show you, the raw bread, is going to be the base of the pizza. Yes. So let me show you the ingredients. Let me just bring you, or me, I should say, over here out of the way a little so we can see what is happening down here. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so what do we need for this recipe? I can see I have here flax seeds. Let me just look at the amounts and tell you what the amounts are. Oh. Here we are. Okay, so I have just loosely chopped up half an onion, half a medium-sized onion. And if you love onion, you can always increase the amount. And 2 sprigs of garlic. And you don't have to put onion and garlic in. I just like to season up everything. And so I've got the onion and garlic there. I have a tablespoon of lecithin granules, and I have actually I can be putting them, I'm going to put them in the food processor and process them. So I'm putting in the onion and the garlic here, and I'm putting in this is the lecithin granules. And for those who've been watching my shows, you will know by now that lecithin is great for your brain health because it contains choline. Yes. So it's one of the things that you can keep by as a natural supplement to your diet, especially if you want to optimize your brain health, or if you're getting on a bit and you want to, and you've not been looking after that brain over the years and you want to start doing that, you can include the choline in your diet. The other thing I'm going to add is, as you can see there, that is flaxseed meal. It's been ground, yes, so it's ground flaxseed, and I'm putting a 3/4 cup in the processor there, 3/4 cup of flaxseed. And guess what? You remember last week we did a jackfruit cheesecake. Yes. Oh Lord, it was so nice. It didn't last the evening. As soon as I got off got off the show, I just dived in. It was just so beautiful. So try it if you haven't done so already. I made two bowls, and both bowls just went like that. Anyway, I told you last week about the jackfruit seed and how nutritious it is. We used to cook it when we were little children in our own little pots while our mums and grandma was making the meals in the evening. We would be cooking our own little pots next to it. And you can either boil it or roast it or put it in the sun to dry. I boiled it because it's the quickest way, and I've got 3/4 cup there, so I'm going to add that. So we've got our jackfruit seed with all its wonderful nutrients there, which I'll remind you of in a minute. And then I've got a cup full. Actually, it's half, should be a half a cup. Oh, 1/4 cup. Let me put the oil in first because I've actually poured out half a cup when it should be 1/4 of a cup. So I'm going to put olive oil, which is 1/4 of a cup of olive oil, and that's your virgin olive oil. Yes. So 1/4 of a cup of virgin olive oil, and I'm going to pour. What I've got is if you don't mind using soya, you can just use a Bragg's amino. But I've introduced this to you before. It's organic coconut liquid amino, and I'm adding 1/4 cup of that, not a half like I've measured out there. If we need more, we can always add it. It just depends on the consistency of the what I'm making. Okay. Let me just wipe. I just spilled a little oil there. Let me just wipe that up. And I put a pinch of salt. This is about I would say a half a teaspoon, just below half a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. You can add a little more than that, actually. Remember, the Celtic sea salt is quite strong, but just, taste it yourself. And if you find that it doesn't have enough sea salt for you, just add a little more. So I've got the sea salt in there now. And my last ingredient, whoa, where did all that come from, that oil? Oh dear, I spilt it there. Never mind, never mind, never mind. It's not too bad. Okay, so let me take these out of here so they don't get completely oiled up. There we go. I'm coming. Just making sure that this doesn't cause too much harm. Okay, so there we go. My last ingredient, remember, this is Dr. KALIFA's raw plantain bread. And the reason why I decided to show you this raw bread is because I know that when you're eating raw, sometimes you just want something a little more solid than the vegetables. And this bread is a vegetable bread, very nutritious raw vegetable bread that you can use in place of your ordinary bread. So as you can see, I left the plantain actually so that you can see this is the normal size of a plantain. Yes, because sometimes when you buy plantain, they're very tiny and they just look like a banana. And when I show people plantain that are not used to them, they say, well, that's a banana. And I'm saying, no, it's a plantain. That's a banana. This is definitely a plantain. Okay. So I'm going to use half of that in my plantain bread. So there we go. And for this, you actually would be better off with a dehydrator. Yes, you'd be better off with a dehydrator. Great if you've already got one. And you can dehydrate it, and I'll tell you what temperature to dehydrate it on. But if you don't, you can some of my clients introduced me to that method where they just remember, dehydration is just drying the thing, just extracting the liquid, or dehydrating, taking the liquid out. What they did was to put it in the oven on a very, very low heat, and just leave the oven door slightly ajar so that it doesn't heat too quickly, because you're trying to mimic the sunshine, really. So we have everything in there now for Dr. KALIFA's raw plantain bread. So I'm going to put that on there. You don't have to use a food processor. If you, where's the cover? If you don't have a food processor, you can just chop them up in the same way and put them in the blender. And to tell you the truth, sometimes I find that the food processor doesn't get it as fine or as liquid as I want it, and then I still put it in the blender. So let's see how this goes. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Right, I'm just going to check it now and just sort of, oh, here we are. Just sort of move it around a bit in the processor. So let me bring it over so you can see it. Okay, so there it is in the processor. I'm just going to mix it up a little because I don't want it to be very lumpy. I want it to be quite smooth. And if it doesn't come out smooth enough in here, I may just put it in the blender, as I said earlier. It's smelling very nice, actually. It's smelling lovely. Okay, alrighty. I'm gonna blend it a little more. Okay, I'm going to just check it again. And I'll bring it over again so you can see it. See, that's a much nicer consistency there. You can see the consistency. Yes. And I think that will do, because once it's dehydrated, it will come up quite smooth. So I'm going to show you now. I don't have my dehydrator, unfortunately, so I can't show you with the actual dehydrator. And I'll talk to you a bit in a minute about the dehydrators. But What I will do is show you in this. I've already prepared it. And you may be asking yourself, well, if she's going to dry it on something, why isn't she using aluminum foil? The reason why I'm not using aluminum foil is because aluminum foil does not fare very well inside your body. It's one of the heavy metals that we try to remove from your system because it is very toxic for your health. So, what I've done there, I've got a sheet of baking tray paper, and I've oiled it with some coconut oil so that I can show you how to place it as thinly as possible on the sheet, on the sheet which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. So Teflex and dehydrator. All right, so let's get this and spread some on here. Let me get rid of this. Oops. There we go. All right, so I'm going to just put that on there. And while I'm doing this, I might as well start talking to you about the benefits. Well, it's only those two that you need to know about, because everything else I've used week after week and told you about the benefits, and some of them where they actually lie on the nutrition rainbow. So I'm going to put some in the middle like that. And remember, the thinner you spread it, the quicker it will dry, okay? The quicker it will dehydrate, the thinner you spread it. So don't pile it on and make too much. Make it too thick, okay? All right, so let's use two of these. One I put it on with and one I spread it with. So I'm spreading it fairly thin there. Right, let me lift it a bit so you can see a little better. Okay, hopefully you can see a little better than that. Okay, so I'm making it quite thin here. And this is a small one. The Teflex sheets, actually, dehydrators come in all shapes and sizes. And you won't need a big one. The one I had was a fairly large one, which had 9 trays. I think the company that makes those, where's my little thing? I'll show you in a minute, tell you in a minute. The company that makes those makes another one which is a bit larger, which is 15 trays. So if you're looking to dehydrate loads and loads of things, you can get bigger and bigger ones, but you won't need anything quite so large. If you're just doing it at home for your family and yourself, go online and take a look at the dehydrators online. I believe they have several makes on Amazon nowadays. Amazon has everything, doesn't it? It's taken over. Yes, so they have several makes on there that you can choose from. And they have some more sophisticated ones as well, with all the whistles and lights and buttons. So you can choose what level you want, depending on your budget as well, of course. But all in all, they all do the same thing, which is to dehydrate the food. Yes. And the reason why we're dehydrating is just really to give you a little more variety. In the old days, I wouldn't bother with dehydration because when you do anything to the natural food, you're denaturing it. When you take it out of its natural form, anything you do to it is actually denaturing it and taking away from the value of the food. But nowadays, people are looking for more mouth-watering, and they're so used to having so much choice that sometimes it's worthwhile just to do a bit of dehydrating so that it gives you a bit more variety. So, and of course, you're not going to dehydrate all your food. Something like this is okay, and I'll show you some more foods that you can dehydrate, and it gives you something more to chew on, some uh, a little more choice to chew on. So that's the reason why I'm introducing the dehydration to you. And it doesn't take out all of the goodness of the food, but it does deplete it. Yeah, I won't kid you about that. It does deplete some of the nutrients in the food when you change it. Any change from its natural form actually depletes it. Okay, so that's it there. I am going to lift it in a minute so you can see in a moment, so you can see it. And I've made it, I've made it quite thin, like I said, so that it won't take too long to dehydrate. And once you've finished dehydrating, then you can cut it into squares and things so that you can easily handle it. And like I said, you can use this like any bread or biscuit. I'm going to show you some biscuits at another time as well, actually. You can use it like any bread or biscuit. Yes, there we go. Right. So there it is. That is the bread, the Dr. KALIFA plantain bread. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this now, I'm going to do what one of my clients introduced me to, and I'm going to put that in the oven on a very low heat, the lowest I can, and leave the door ajar. I mean, the sun is so hot out there nowadays that I could actually put it out there and it would dehydrate in a day. So I am going to look at how I can do that, because I could probably use the material, the muslin material that I use for my squeeze bag, the milk bag, to cover it so that nothing will get to it. But I'm going to find a way to use the natural sun, because that's hotter than the oven turned down out there. Okay, and I'll tell you how well that works. All right, so there you go. You can make this bread now, and next week I'll give you some ideas on how you can use it. Yes, wow, that's going to be fun. Okay, so it's mainly the main ingredient in there is the flax seeds, and you know that you get your omega 3 from the flax seed, and all the other bits and pieces you already have the information on those. So look at some of the videos that I have up there over the weeks on YouTube, and you will see the ingredients. Most of them I've already used up there. Okay, so let me put this aside and just wash my hand a minute. And now I'm going to talk to you about juvenile arthritis. And when I mention that to people, a lot of people say, "Oh my Lord, I didn't know that existed." But I'm sure you've probably seen lots of children who appear deformed or in a lot of pain and in their joints, etc. And it's very possible that it could be juvenile arthritis. So let me go quickly through the presentation with you and just talk about what it is, and then I'll tell you how you can contact me if you want to find out more. Okay? All right. So let's get up here with this. And Juvenile Arthritis Month, like I said, and the Juvenile Arthritis Month is a campaign which is aimed to raise awareness of the fact that children can have arthritis, even though the condition is often and most times, I would say, associated with older adults. Arthritis in children is called childhood arthritis or juvenile arthritis. The most common type of childhood arthritis is juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Childhood arthritis can affect children of all ages, races, ethnicity, and so forth. Childhood arthritis can cause permanent physical damage, yes, to the joints, their joints, and this damage can make it hard for them to manage everyday tasks, and could result in disability. So what are the symptoms of childhood arthritis? The symptoms may come and go, and they tend to come and go. Sometimes there may be times when the symptoms get worse, and this is known as flares. People say it flares up, and there's times when the symptoms get better, so it's eased off, so they can actually appear as though nothing is too wrong. When it eases off, it's also known as remission. And what are the signs and symptoms? They include joint pain, swelling, the same really as adult arthritis, sometimes even fever, stiffness, rashes, fatigue, loss of appetite even, and inflammation of the eye, and difficulty obviously with their daily living activities such as walking, dressing, playing. Yes. So there we go. What causes it? Up until now, quite recently, the exact cause of childhood arthritis was thought to be unknown generally. Research now shows us that diet is a significant contributory factor in the development of arthritis within children and adults. Millions of people suffer from painful and swollen joints associated with arthritis. In the past, many doctors told arthritis patients that dietary changes would not help them. But in the past, the conclusion was based on older research with diets that included things like dairy products, oil, poultry, meat, and so forth. More recent research shows that foods may be a more frequent contributor to arthritis than it was commonly believed or recognized. Many notice an improvement. Many people notice an improvement in their condition when they avoid certain types of food. Arthritis is considered to be a group of different diseases. Osteoarthritis, which is a gradual loss of cartilage and overgrowth of bone in the joints, especially the knees, the hips, the spine, and the fingertips. Over 20 million Americans, mostly over the age of 45, suffer from osteoarthritis, which seems to be, at the time, it seemed to be the result of accumulated wear and tear. Although it can cause painful episodes, it's characterized by only transient stiffness and does not cause major interference with the use of the hands. Rheumatoid arthritis, which affects over 2 million people in the US, is a more aggressive form of the disease. It causes painful, inflamed joints, which sometimes become damaged. Rheumatoid arthritis is one of medicine's, or was considered, maybe still is, one of medicine's mysteries. Um, an increasing volume of research proves that certain dietary changes do, in fact, help. In my experience, having treated many clients with arthritis over the past 2 decades, whether adult or child, the cause remains the same. And once the cause is removed, there can be no symptoms. 100% of clients, when I have treated whom I've treated in the past, have reversed their disease and are able to live a pain-free, disease-free life. As long as they obey the laws of health, they can prevent the disease and keep it completely away, keep it out of their body. If you're suffering from any of these symptoms that I mentioned earlier, or if you suspect you may be on the road to developing arthritis, go to my link in bio on Instagram, book a free discovery call, and find out more about my 90-day program, or call or email me, and I will be very happy to chat with you. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do with you, and we've come to that time now, where I am going to do our meditation of this week. Okay. So as per usual, for those of you who are not familiar with my meditation sessions, or are not familiar with the show, the Feel Good Show with Dr. KALIFA, you just make yourself as comfortable as you can. Make sure that you're not driving or using equipment or doing anything that's going to cause you to have an accident or anything like that, okay? Because you're just going to take a few moments to completely relax. If you're listening in your car and you can pull over onto the hard shoulder and just relax, then that's good too, because it will take your mind away, relax you, and then you come back refreshed, rejuvenated, revitalized. Okay, so make yourself as comfortable as you possibly can, and take 3 very deep breaths into your abdomen, just like I showed you in the beginning. Breathe into your abdomen, and as you breathe out, just allow your body to completely flop and completely relax on the out breath. Okay, so inhale deep into your lungs, and as you do so, your abdomen will rise, and as you exhale, it will deflate and just relax. One more deep breath, and breathe out, and just feel all the muscles in your body relaxing from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, the tips of your fingers. Rest your hand on your laps and just feel as your shoulders relax, your arms become heavy and relaxed. We want to enter the alpha state, and this is where all the good stuff happens. So we want to bypass your conscious critical mind and just go into a meditative state. Okay, so just relax now. If you like, you can take yourself to a special place where you would go somewhere like the beach or a garden, and just imagine yourself there as I read this meditation with you. This one is called Cast Aside All Doubt. I love this one. So it says, cast aside all doubt, O soul of mine, and be unafraid, for thy power is from on high. He who sitteth in the heavens shall be thy champion. Thou need not fear. Come forth, O Spirit, from within, and express thyself through me, and let not my doubts hinder my approach. My faith shall go forth to meet thee, and my confidence shall embrace thee. My waiting thought shall bid thee welcome, and my house to my house of love, and joy shall accompany us through the ages yet to come. I lay aside all fear and doubt. Ernest Holmes. Okay, just continue to breathe and relax and ponder on those words and think about how they relate to you, how you feel about them, and gradually begin to return to full awareness. In a few moments, as you gradually return to full awareness, keep with you all the feelings that you have uh, experienced during these few moments of relaxation. Even the shortest moments of meditation does you a world of good. And keep that feeling of tranquility, of rejuvenation, of calm and relaxation as long as you choose to. And I'm going to count to five. And when I count to five, just open your eyes and feel better than you've ever done before. One, two, three, coming up. Four and five. Open your eyes, feeling better than before. Okay, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join me next week. We have some exciting recipes coming next week, especially when we use our Dr. KALIFA's plantain bread. Okay, see you next week.